Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We're here in Barcelona for European Blockchain Convention. I'm Alona, co-CEO at Revlon PR Agency. Joining me again this year, Anthony Hougan, CIO at Bitwise. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's great to be back in Barcelona.
Super good to have you here. We spoke last year in September.
Yep.
And I believe it was like one of the craziest years in crypto since then. Give me a quick rundown of like your highlights of the past year and like what you were mostly excited about.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be excited about. Probably the biggest event in the last year, from my perspective, was the change in the U.S. regulatory attitude towards crypto. We went from a massive headwind where everything was very difficult and borderline illegal to a massive tailwind where we can move the industry forward. And you've seen the result in flows into ETFs. You've seen the result in legislation being passed. And you've seen the result in the industry really orienting around real world applications. The other big change for me, I think a year ago, if we were talking, crypto was still mostly a Bitcoin story, at least to the outside world. Inside crypto, sure, we talked about all the different assets and applications. To the outside world, it was Bitcoin only. The world has woken up to stablecoins, tokenization, and the things that you can do beyond Bitcoin on crypto. And I think that is a big change that will have ramifications for years to come.
100%. And also, I mean, a year ago, it was like kind of Europe, maybe Latin America leading the way, perhaps like, moving aside the control and monopoly the U.S. have had of economy for so long. And all of a sudden, like, the country has picked up, is leading the wave again. Very exciting time.
Yes, yeah, the world's largest market. They say about America that they figure out the right thing after they've exhausted every other opportunity. I think that is true here. But I do think it's a fundamental shift. A lot of people wonder if the U.S. will go back to an anti-crypto orientation if there's a new change in administration. I don't think so. That's not what we're hearing. I think there is bipartisan support. I think we made a one-way shift. And I think you can just look at how much Wall Street is building on crypto now to see that this has been a fundamental change.
100%. And also maybe the nod that the U.S. has given that pushed PayPal forward, and even, states coming up with their own tokens and potentially the trunk token. I also don't think there will be a way back from this point.
Yeah, no way back. In fact, I think quite the opposite. I think, you mentioned PayPal. I wouldn't be surprised to see the largest banks in the U.S. launch their own stablecoins. We already saw the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange looking at tokenization. So everyone who was skeptical of crypto for the last decade has changed their tune. And I think it's, again, a one-way direction. I think it's just going to go from there.
Yeah. So, we spoke about Bitcoin and, how it's been like a concept of Bitcoin market. So beyond Bitcoin and Ether, what are you mostly interested in or excited about when it comes to the digital assets and the more institutional grade?
Yeah, I really think the next biggest product in terms of institutional adoption beyond Bitcoin is actually diversified baskets. So index-based products, I think, are going to be a $1 trillion plus market that people aren't counting on. The reason for that, if you think about the people who have allocated to crypto so far, they're mostly crypto experts. They're people who know about Bitcoin, who know about ETH, who know about Solana. The people who are going to drive the market in the future are people who aren't focused on crypto, who just want 3 to 5% of their portfolio, and they don't have an opinion on how a layer one should be structured or whether it's better to scale through a monolithic blockchain or layer two solutions. They just want to own crypto. And I think they're going to buy index-based solutions. So I know that's a very tiny sliver of the market right now. I think if we come back next year, it'll be 10% of the market. If we come back 2 years from now, it'll be 30 to 50% of the market. I think that's a big area of growth.
Wow, that's so interesting. And talking about indexes and bringing the ETFs in as well, as a more digestible, say, financial product for the masses. How do you see that side of market also picking up?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. What we're seeing with ETFs historically is that the flows build over time. That's been true outside of crypto. I think it's going to be true inside of crypto. So I think we've really just seen a down payment. It's worth noting, at least in the U.S., the market still isn't fully open. Some of the largest wealth management platforms are just getting around to approving access to Bitcoin ETFs. So a lot of people are excited that we've seen, $100 billion of flows globally. It really is just a down payment. I mean, I think we'll have record flows in 2025. I think 2026 will exceed 2025. I think 2027 will exceed 2026. If you look at the history of ETFs, I come from an ETF background, they grow for like 5 to 10 years. And I think we'll see the same thing here.
Very cool. Anything else you'd like to add, for our viewers to?
Yeah, I would just say too, maybe the most important thing I can say is that I think it's the best time ever to invest in crypto. We've removed a huge amount of risk. People don't think about that much, but we've really dialed down custody risk and trading risk and regulatory risk. And will the institutions adopt it risk? And will sovereigns adopt it? We've dialed down all those risks, but it's still non-consensus. It's still the case that the vast majority of investors have 0% allocation to crypto. So I think you have enormous upside with dramatically reduced risk. As an investor, that makes me very excited. I think that means people are going to allocate more to crypto than they did in the past. Again, a couple of years ago, we were probably talking about a 1% allocation. I think that's going to be 5, maybe 10 in the future. So it's still early in crypto. We've de-risked. I think we have a very exciting time ahead.
100%. It's really funny for us, being in crypto for so long, thinking it is still early on.
It's so early.
And the industry is moving so fast and things are happening so swiftly. It feels like, it's been like, what, a decade? And yeah.
Yeah, we're just in the really exciting scaling part. If you think about an exponential curve, it takes a long time for go from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8. But we're at the point where it really ramps up. I think it's going to be fun.
Very exciting time. Let's see what we're going to be talking about next year.
All right, I'll be
Thank you
here.
for joining us. Thank you.